Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Mike Williams takes shot at Aaron Rodgers after Steelers debut. The New York Jets traded wide receiver Mike Williams to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it paid immediate dividends in Week 10. Williams scored the 32-yard game-winning touchdown in his Steelers debut against the Washington Commanders. After the game, the veteran wide receiver took to social media to share his first thoughts on his experience playing for Pittsburgh. The hashtag Red Line was in reference to his clash with Aaron Rodgers when they were Jets teammates. In the Week 6 matchup against the Buffalo Bills, Rodgers threw a pass that was intended for Williams in the fourth quarter that was intercepted. After that game, Rodgers revealed that Williams ran the wrong route and should have stayed on the red line. The red line isn't visible on an actual football field, but teams use it in practice to reinforce to receivers to stay wide. Williams wasn't being used a ton in general during his brief tenure with the Jets. However, after the red line incident, Rodgers completely phased the veteran receiver out of the lineup. In Ian O'Connor's book, Out of the Darkness, The Mystery of Aaron Rodgers, he described Rodgers' infamous island. It's a fictional place that Rodgers would send people to who had slighted him in some way or another. This location included members of his family, close friends, and even teammates and coaches that he played or worked with. It seemed like Williams was sent to this place after two miscommunications that resulted in Rodgers' interceptions against the Minnesota Vikings and the aforementioned game against the Bills. Now Williams gets the last laugh. He scored a touchdown during his debut with the Steelers, while the Jets as a team couldn't score a touchdown with any of their players. The green and white are 3-7 unlikely to make the playoffs. While Williams is all of a sudden a key cog on a 7-2 Steelers squad that is headed to the postseason and maybe beyond. When the Jets traded away Williams, it left a massive void at the third wide receiver spot. Gang Green was covered with Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson as the top two pass catchers, but who would be the next guy to step up? Fans are still wondering about that after the game. The Jets' offense struggled to finish off drives, and Rodgers only threw for only 151 passing yards. That didn't leave much meat on the bone to go around. The two leading receivers not named Adams and Wilson were running back Breece Hall and tight end Jeremy Ruckert. Hall finished with 31 yards and Ruckert finished with 17 yards. Much maligned rookie, Malachi Corley, did get involved on a third down conversion with a reception for 2 yards. The most likely candidate is Corley because of his draft pedigree and the available reps with Williams elsewhere. It didn't show in the Cardinals game, but there are still 7 contests remaining for him to strut his stuff. Smith makes strong first impression with Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers didn't need to trade for edge rusher Preston Smith. With one of the league's best pairs of edge rushers, quality depth in Nick Herbig, and a strong interior, Smith was very much a luxury purchase for Pittsburgh. That surplus proved to be crucial on Sunday, when the Steelers escaped their Week 10 contest against the Washington Commanders with a 28-27 win in Landover. It's safe to say Smith made a strong first impression. On the opening play of the fourth quarter, Washington pulled out a trick play, asking receiver Dyami Brown to take the ball behind the line of scrimmage and potentially throw a pass. Instead, Smith came to the rescue, bringing down Brown in the open field for an 11-yard loss. The Commanders punted on the next play, giving Pittsburgh the opportunity to melt 7 minutes off the clock. In all, it was a hard-fought, comeback win for a Steelers team that welcomed Smith into a culture that fits him well. He reflected on his Pittsburgh debut after the game. "These dudes are relentless as hell," Smith said. "I love the mindset and the dog mentality. It's not one person with the dog mentality, it's everybody. Those are great people to be around." Smith fits like a glove, and the production is instantaneous. He logged a sack, 3 tackles, and 2 tackles for loss in the biggest game of the Steelers season to date. He's already made good on the 7th-round pick he was traded for. Pittsburgh's latest injury news, though, will place him in an expanded role. Highsmith is projected to miss a handful of weeks with an ankle injury he suffered on Sunday. The lines between Smith's role as the third or fourth edge rusher on the Steelers were blurry, but until Highsmith returns he'll now be the second or third most prominent edge threat, upping his usage and thrusting him into an integral role. After the start he got off to, it's safe to say he already has the trust of the fan base. Steelers urged to make serious play for $27 million corner. The Pittsburgh Steelers have one of their best defenses in years this season. But similar to the past 2 years, the Steelers will once again face questions at cornerback this offseason. That could make a young free agent such as Byron Murphy an intriguing option in March. At least that's what the Bleacher Report NFL scouting department proposed. The BR team argued on November 11 that the Steelers should target Murphy this offseason. The Steelers signed Dante Jackson this offseason and he's been a strong addition to the defense. The 29-year-old is putting together the best campaign of his career. Him overperforming his one-year contract is nice, but it means that he could be looking for more money next season and the Steelers might want to avoid handing a cornerback who will turn 30 a ton of money in free agency, wrote the BR team. That money might be better spent on someone like Byron Murphy. The 27-year-old is thriving under Brian Flores in Minnesota. Of course, Flores was most recently with the Steelers before taking over as the defensive coordinator in Minnesota. He would show up to Pittsburgh and give them 2 corners who can press and play in an aggressive scheme. The Arizona Cardinals selected Murphy in the second round of the 2019 NFL Draft. But he received a first-round grade from draft analysts, including NFL.com's Lance Zierlein. Over his 6-year NFL career, Murphy has earned a little more than $27 million according to Spotrac. Prior to the 2019 NFL Draft, Zierlein compared Murphy to former 4-time Pro Bowl cornerback Brent Grimes. Ball-hawking man corner who makes up for a lack of physical tools with outstanding instincts, toughness, and short area quickness, Zierlein wrote. Murphy's ball production per target is as good as you will find thanks to an innate ability to process the quarterback and route development simultaneously. Zierlein identified Murphy as a nickel cornerback. But in 4 of his 6 NFL seasons, he's played more snaps at wide cornerback than in the slot. Whether that's the reason or not, Murphy hasn't really lived up to his draft hype. But he's arguably playing the best season of his NFL career this fall. Through Week 10, Murphy has earned a Pro Football Focus player grade of 71.4. That's ranked among the top 20 cornerbacks who have played at least 50% of his team's defensive snaps this season. According to PFF, he's excelled in coverage and run defense while playing wide cornerback, nickel back and box safety. The Steelers like versatile cornerbacks. Murphy could help replace Dante Jackson, who will be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. Whether the Steelers express interest in Murphy will very likely depend on what happens to Jackson. Bleacher Report described Jackson as outperforming his 1-year contract. He's passing the eye test and leads the team with 6 pass defenses and 3 interceptions. But according to the analytics, Jackson hasn't been as stellar. He has earned a PFF player grade of 51.6, which is the worst seasonal mark of his career. Jackson also just turned 29 while Murphy doesn't turn 27 until January. The Steelers may be pleased with how Jackson is playing. But that doesn't mean they are going to want to sign him to a long-term deal. Murphy, though, on a 3-year contract could be an appealing option because he won't turn 30 until after the deal expires. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Byron Murphy? Leave your opinion in the comments.